to another episode of Two Guys and a Mic. I am Scott, joined with Tony in the middle, Mike at the end. Matt is taking a sick day, so
I heard him. His voice is just—he's bad. He's bad.
Yeah.
He
Definitely sounds like
shit, but
sounds like he might have had a fun weekend. If you know what type of weekend Matt likes to have.
oh
yeah. So, anyways, week 11, guys. Some little bit of stuff to talk about. Nothing too crazy. A few upsets, but I want to start off with the Jets finally making the move.
Their season is over, bro. Completely.
Their season was over.
They're
5 minutes into their first game after Rodgers tore his Achilles.
100%.
No, because they won the first game. But
they didn't trade for a quarterback.
They should have traded for a quarterback immediately. After 2 games of watching Zach Wilson, they should have known right then and there. Zach Wilson. There's a reason he went after Aaron Rodgers.
And they should have known after last season.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like, you go off and you get Aaron Rodgers for a reason. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers is clearly not able to coach up Zach Wilson enough to be good or efficient.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you watch his like college stats. Like, people are all like on X. People are just posting Zach Wilson BYU highlights, and they're just like, "Look how good he was! Look at what happened to this guy." Yeah, like, it's crazy.
Dude, but it's crazy because you see it all the time. Like, there's always you see so many franchises. They trade draft picks. They move up to take these guys because they think they're going to be the franchise quarterback. For whatever reason, they just don't transition into the NFL very well. Zach Wilson is a great example of that. But the Jets should have known that after last year. Like, he didn't make any improvements whatsoever. None, zero. And they should have known that they should have just gone out and just gotten a veteran quarterback anywhere, somewhere. Anything was going to be better than Zach Wilson. And I think Robert Saleh's job is to...
Browns went out and got Flacco.
Yeah.
I don't know if Flacco technically would have been...
Flacco is 100% better than Wilson. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says.
I will agree with that. But the problem is the fact that they rode him for as long as they did, like, Robert Saleh, it's like every week he was asked, when are you guys making the change? Everyone outside of his mind saw that Wilson
wasn't the answer.
You know who Robert Saleh reminds me of? McDaniels. And his attitude.
Stubborn.
Yeah.
And what stubbornness gets you in the NFL?
Nowhere.
Back to being a coordinator for someone.
Yeah, get out of the fucking. You're not good enough to head coach. And what sucks is I think people will make the same mistake. I think if Saleh goes on the hot seat and they ultimately decide to go a different way, which I don't think they will. That's my opinion. I don't think they will. But if they do, I think he goes back down. And then he'll try another head coaching gig in the future. I don't know how well it's going to work out, though. I see him like Daniels 2.0.
But I will say this. The Jets' offensive woes, I think, goes past a little bit more than Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Brees Hall he has a pretty good yard per carry, but it just doesn't seem like the last few weeks he's been able to really do that. I don't know if it's because people are now being like, okay, we're not going to let Brees Hall and the running game beat us. We're going to stack the box. And we're going to take Garrett Wilson out, and that's it.
Yeah, you stack the box and you double cover Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't do anything.
Nope.
No.
So, I don't know. Jets are not going to continue to do well. I know they're talking about, like, hey, Aaron Rodgers wants to practice December 2nd. I seen that come out today, and a lot of people are like, man, what doctor is going to sign off on that? On Aaron Rodgers coming back after December 2nd with like 2.5 months. After an Achilles tear, like, what? If you're a doctor that signs off on that, you better be ready for your job to be tested. Because if Aaron Rodgers comes back after 2.5 months, then all these other and he tears something in like a few days or a few weeks, like, it's going to be bad on that doctor. Sued.
Well, it's not just that. It's now you're jeopardizing next season. The Jets are not making the playoffs.
Yep, they're not.
You're not. Like, just get that out of your head. Yeah. Rest Rodgers, have him come back next season, and I would definitely draft a rookie wide receiver with that early first-round pick you're going to get. And
well, okay, let's talk about that. if Aaron Rodgers comes back after December 2nd, obviously he shouldn't play. I think that's a collective opinion. I don't think I have to argue with you guys on that one. Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be put in the game because their playoff hopes are they're just gone. So with Rodgers only being on that 2-year deal and he plays next year, do you think that he has many years left in him outside of next year?
We won't know until he plays.
Yeah, at most maybe one more after next year.
Yeah, because he is older, and that Achilles tear fucks you up.
Yeah, we could, but so moving on from that, I do wish Tim Boyle all the luck, but he's not going to be the answer.
Got some big shoes to not even fill because he's got to beat them.
Hey, at least he knows he really can't do worse.
Yeah.
So
shit show.
Obviously, if you do watch our program, you know we're 49er Raider fans. So jumping into a little bit of 49er news. Obviously, everyone should have heard by now Brock Purdy with the perfect passer rating. But he's the first 49er, even with Joe Montana, Steve Young there, some of the great quarterbacks that they've had. He's the first one to do it with over 20 attempts. Steve Young and Montana did it with 15 or more attempts, but he's the first one. He was 21 to 25, 300 and some change. I think it was like 333 or something like that. 3 touchdowns. Looked phenomenal. With that said, are you a little bit more sold, Tony?
100%. Great. Played beautifully. I don't care what anybody says. Like he has definitely surpassed my expectations. He's no longer at Jimmy G's level, but I still don't consider him like what Mahomes has been. Obviously, Mahomes is having a down year. We don't recognize that, but he's great. I'll say he's almost elite. But I think the fact that he has the entire team around him elevates him. I don't think he's like Tom Brady or Mahomes where you don't have weapons around you and you make magic happen. I don't think Purdy's that quarterback. But he has the weapons and he knows how to use them and they are running on full gears. I think that is a good quarterback. I think he's getting there towards elite.
Yeah. One of the things I will say, a lot of the players on the 49ers, a lot of those playmakers that you're talking about, all say that they feel like Purdy actually elevates them. And I think that's basically coming because they're coming from Garoppolo. And you as a Raiders fan have now got to see why 49er fans, every time Garoppolo stepped back to pass, we were just like crossing our fingers that it was going to go into the hands of a 49ers because that guy...
Don't even say shit, Sky. You're the one who are hyping up Garoppolo. I don't care what anybody says. I was telling you he was garbage from the start. I never wanted him. Oh...
He went right along with McDaniel.
So bad.
The one thing I will say is Garoppolo did win, but obviously it wasn't just him. It was a lot of the defenses that he got to play with.
The defense hid a lot of his flaws.
Yeah, tremendously. And I think that's why I believe Purdy's better than what people give him credit for. I understand he has a lot of weapons around him, and there's a lot of people you could plug into this offense with these players, and they're going to succeed. I'm not going to definitely not going to argue that. But my point is that he's having, like, you got to remember, he just barely finished like a full NFL regular season under his belt.
Yeah.
And right now he leads the NFL in passer rating by like 9 points over Tua. Tua's the second. He has like 115 passer rating right now. So
I feel like the Niners, if they continue to play at that caliber, they're going to go to the Super Bowl and they're going to win. But they need to continue to play at that caliber. They can't have this 3-week setback where they're just playing like fucking trash. Like you're like, what? What?
You know the difference.
Yeah, they got to bet. They got to.
Debo was hurt. Trent Williams was hurt.
Yeah, no, I get that.
All 3 of those games.
Mike, what's the one thing that happens every year? I think
injury bug.
Somebody from the Niners gets hurt.
Not even somebody. Multiple people go.
Yeah, and it's always middle of the season.
Unfortunately, Hufanga went down this week.
Yeah, we struggle, lose some games, we get healthy, and then we're into the playoffs, ready to smash the shit out of whoever's in front of us. Mm-hmm. But again, I just think this is a better quarterback situation than what the Niners have. I have a lot more confidence in Brock Purdy facing someone with like an elite defense than Garoppolo. So, but with that, also Hufanga, man, all pro safety for the Niners, tore his ACL on that nasty white juke. Did you guys see when it happened?
Yeah.
No.
White leads the NFL though in missed or was it with forced missed tackles?
It was the Rashad White juke that everybody's been posting on X.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that was it. Damn, that sucks. He got juked nasty.
He did. But I will say this. Jair Brown came in, our 3rd round pick. All right, struggled a little bit out the gate. End of the game, he has a really nice batted ball on what would have been a Mike Evans touchdown. And then he intercepted the ball to pretty much seal the deal.
Yeah.
So
now that interception, it's still an interception, but it was a deflection that hit off of somebody's helmet.
Yeah, I think it was Greenlaw's helmet. It was a poorly thrown ball by Baker, but it didn't matter because it wasn't like it didn't go to him. He still had to have.
Yeah, he had to change direction and dive for it.
Yeah, he still had the awareness, and that's what you like to see. Young guy with awareness, not giving up on a play. So I think the Niners are going to be okay. Obviously, they're not going to be as strong without Hufanga, but I'm confident moving forward.
Did you hear the news about Jason Verrett?
Yeah, he signed back with the 49ers, huh?
I didn't. Did he actually?
How old is he now?
I don't know how old he is. It doesn't matter. He's going to be hurt by the time he walks through the door.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, injuries just plagued his entire career.
Yeah, but as far as I know, it's supposed to be a practice squad signing. It's not anything. I think he's just there just in case, like, there's an absolute emergency going on. Because right now the 49ers are just they're shuffling the secondary outside of Ward. They're using pretty much everyone. Everyone's kind of getting a rotation in, and I like the way that they looked last week. I mean, to shut down Evans and Godwin the way that they did, that's not an easy task. Even though
they look great. Sometimes, like, if they can continue to do what they're doing, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. Like, and it's not even like they have to try hard. Like, they're going out there and having fun. These guys they're having fun. They're not being out there just like, oh, we're gonna have to try really hard to win. Like tonight's game, if you look at the game, both teams are fucking going at each other's throats. If the fucking Chiefs play the Niners, this Chiefs team, the Niners would decimate them.
I don't know about decimate, but I would say
the Niners team from yesterday would decimate them.
Okay, maybe, yeah. How about this? So Seattle and 49ers play on Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving night.
I wonder if Walker is still going to be out, the running back
probably.
And Geno.
Oh, yeah, Geno's out too. You know what? I already knew the Niners were going to win that game. I don't care what anybody says. The Seahawks are not that great to watch. I was watching the game. I was bored the whole time. I was like, what is going on?
They are a very boring team. That's typical Pete Carroll.
They used to be fun to watch, and now it's just like boring.
The defense was very fun to watch, and I've always enjoyed watching Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
There's I understand a lot of people, they don't want to like other people from teams within their division or whatever, but if you're not a Marshawn Lynch fan, you're not a football fan.
Yeah.
Period. The guy's just great.
His interviews are classic.
Classic. Yeah. I'm just so I don't get fined.
Yeah. Right, hey, real quick, last thing on the night, was Steve Wilkes back on the sideline this weekend, or was he in the booth?
In that sideline. He's stuck there.
Yeah.
The concrete boots on him on that sideline. He's not going anywhere.
Last 2 weeks with him on the sideline have been night and day.
Well, I'm sure there's much better communication going on with that. And, I mean, Chase Young also coming in. Obviously, he's made a huge impact.
Impact.
Was sitting there beating one of the best left tackles yesterday like it was nothing. And now Bosa's it's just made all the difference in the world with the way that the Niners can scheme up that defensive line.
You guys are going to go to the Super Bowl and win. I'm sorry.
We don't know. We're only in week 11. Injuries happen.
Believe, bro. Anyways, the Raiders are going to go to the Super Bowl, and we're going to win, so it don't matter.
Speaking
in
about
your son's lifetime?
You want to go ahead and talk about the Raiders?
Oh man, I was like, I don't think I've ever been prouder and madder at the same time because like if you watch that game,
I
that
did.
was the best defense the Raiders have had in the past 21 years. That defense was like you're watching, you're like, what the they got in a turnover. Let's go fumble. Let's go interception. What the hell is going on? Like our defense is playing at the highest caliber it's played in the past 20 years. Like it's just incredible. You got Spillane, who's just got the middle lockdown. You got Crosby up front, and then you got a bunch of young guys in rotation in Morig. Bennett, I think, is our weak spot, but he is like a third or fourth round pick and he's trying to pick it up because of what happened to Robertson. But I think Robertson, he's back now, and I think we'll get better. But like we're way better than we've ever been, and it was amazing to watch how the Raiders held one of the most explosive offenses to 20 points. That just blew my mind the whole time I was watching. And I was so disappointed every time we got the ball on offense because you watch them play and it's like the offensive coordinator was scared. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And you got Josh Jacobs fucking 1 yard here, 2 yards here. Playing Josh Jacobs.
2.8 average for the game.
Yeah, bro, like not getting anything. And I think he was scared to let AOC just kind of throw the ball. And when he did the first time, that's when we got that 46-yard touchdown to Devontae Adams. That was deep bomb, perfect and beautiful. And then it was like, okay, let's scale it back to just run. Or check down. And it was we weren't getting anywhere. It was three and out. I mean, the Raiders had 3 turnovers and they got 6 points off of those 3 turnovers. Like nothing. And then on top of that, there's two big drives in the fourth quarter where it's you what happened? Did I miss
Show him, Mike. Show him.
I gotta see it.
Look at this fatty.
No.
Up and I'm just like, dude, how? I'm just thinking how you're gonna lose one of your feet by the time you're dead. Before you one of your feet.
I cannot believe that I just missed it, bro. I'm so damn. Mike, you're fat, bro.
I always say sponsored by Big Gulp.
I'll send him an email after this asking if they'll sponsor us. No, but I think going back to like you look at those 2 drives in the fourth quarter where we like went for it on 4th down when it was completely unnecessary. Like our defense is playing top tier defense, and we went for it twice on 4th down, and we just couldn't make anything happen. And the worst part is they were in field goal range. So if we would have made both of those 4th downs, because they're easy field goals, they were like probably what 45 to 55-yard field goals each. That puts us at 19-20. That all we need is a field goal to win at the end of the game, like we had. And he threw that. Why did they even throw it that deep? With 32 seconds left in the game, and he just bombs it to fucking Trey Tucker out there in double coverage with Jalen Ramsey and gets picked off. I don't understand what the offense is doing, and I don't necessarily knock AOC for it. He's young. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. It is what it is. I don't think he's the worst, but at the same time, I think it's a play calling in the interim OC. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Hey, you cannot tell me AOC, when you look at AOC on a helmet on, you cannot tell me he doesn't look like he's got a mom watching the football game with a bush light in one hand and come on, boy!
Yeah,
that's probably his mom watching him in the trailer park right now.
with the working TV on top of the broken TV.
Our super trooper quarterback ain't making it happen, man. He is not making it happen. But at the same time, I don't knock him. I think it's the play calling because I think they need to give him those opportunities. There was like almost no play action calls. The play action calls that they had, there was like none of them. He was overthrowing people. I think he was scared, and I think they needed to give him more opportunity to get used to the NFL and not just let's hand it off to fucking Josh Jacobs and get nowhere.
I wonder if he feels like he has a short leash.
He might. I think he might, and I think the interim head coach or the interim OC, Bo Hardringer, I don't know how to pronounce that name. I think he needs to step it up, or leave it to somebody else. I think he needs to give it to somebody else because what he's doing is not working on offense. Our defense, I was hyped watching that shit. I was like, this is amazing. Max Crosby, Spillane. Spillane is one of my favorite linebackers. He's going to be the next Brian Urlacher going down to the books.
Yeah. So, you got anything else you want to add to that?
No. Mike, nod and say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to move on. Mike, are we good to move on?
Sure.
So, last week, if you guys watched the show, we did a will they or won't they segment. Basically, we talked about all the teams that are like right next to each other on who's making playoffs, who's not. One of the games that we did talk about a little heavily was the Steelers and the Browns game because we felt like that was going to probably push one team to end up making the playoffs and the other team not. Matt and Tony both picked the Steelers. I said because it's in Cleveland, that Cleveland defense just plays just even better at home. I saw it when the 49ers went over there in Cleveland and played. They just play on another level. I did say Cleveland would win that game. And I think because that happened, I'm like I said, I picked Cleveland to make the playoffs. I still think it's going to happen. That Pittsburgh, it's just you watch them on offense and you're just like.
It's a clown show.
It's crazy. They're as bad as Cleveland on offense, and they have a good defense, but they don't have that defense that can get you constantly 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and have that 10-9 game. You know what I mean? It's just they're not going to win you those type of games. That's why it was out. But the reason I bring this up is because Denver now 3 games in a row, all of a sudden they're 5-5. Actually 4 games, right? Didn't they start 1-5?
They did start 1-5.
Yeah, and they have solid wins. I mean, they beat Kansas City.
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, who would have thought that? I know.
But when you watch the Broncos, when you watch their offense, it's still like a clown show. You're like, how are these guys winning? It gets crazy.
It's not as bad as it was. I feel like they're starting to catch on to that new offense. And I mean, with anything, it always takes a few games to get going. And now they're kind of playing like I know all of us actually predicted the Broncos to make the playoffs. I really thought Sean Payton was going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. Didn't at the beginning, but now I'm like, okay, this is what we thought they were going to be. And I don't know if Matt said it last week, but he was talking about how they've actually been the 3rd best defense in the NFL. So since
week 8, I think he said week 8.
Yeah, I was just going to say their defense was atrocious because their defense has allowed the most points in the AFC this season.
So the reason I bring this up is do you have confidence in the Broncos making the playoffs? They're right there in the running. And
go ahead, Mike.
Here are their games. I will say this. They do have a very tough schedule. They're home against Cleveland, at Houston, at Chargers, at Detroit, New England.
Before we move on, because you mentioned Cleveland again, and I want to stop real quick before we go on fully onto the Broncos. I think that if Cleveland plays a team with a good offense, they lose that game. The game was only 13-10.
Yeah. And
you're playing the Steelers, who, first of all, we both did say they have a clown show bullshit offense. I don't know how they're winning games. They played an elite defense. Yes, it was in Cleveland. I just said this. The Steelers were going to win because the offense wasn't there for the Browns. But I mean, it was you could have predicted that they could have lost because their defense. They're playing a top tier defense against a shitty offense. If you had a great offense, like either the Chiefs, Miami would have probably beat them. I think
their best team left that they play.
Texans,
Jaguars, and Texans.
Mm-hmm.
You can't throw the Bengals in there anymore. Mm-hmm. After Burrow's done, they're after the Broncos. They have the Rams, which Rams can put up points. They've been hit and miss. If they just got to be healthy. The Jaguars, the Bears, the Texans, the Jets, and the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, with the Bengals no longer having Burrow, I mean, I got them beating the Bengals. I got them beating the Jets. I got them beating the Bears. I got them beating the Rams.
I don't think they beat the Texans.
I don't think so either.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a really good game, but because it's in
It's in Texas, or it's in Houston.
Yeah.
I think that really gives them, and I think it gives them the advantage. And also, I'm excited to see C.J. Stroud go up against
a top tier defense, the best defense. They have the best defense in the league.
Yeah. But anyways, what do you guys think? You think can Denver make the playoffs? Yes or no?
I think.
I don't know how the Kareem Jackson situation changes it. He's suspended for 4 games.
It's gonna hurt.
That's a lot.
It's gonna hurt. And you want to know who they got coming up? I already told you guys, right? Who they got coming up, right? So they got 1, 2, 3. Only 3 teams left that are probably playoff bound. I think they can maybe squeak it out against Cleveland because it is in Denver. I don't have them beating Houston. I have them winning against the Chargers. I have them losing at the Jets. And I think they're going to beat New England and the Chargers again at home. And it's just going to depend if the Raiders decide to play spoilers or not.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders play.
The way that Denver's been playing and looking at Cincinnati, they're out of playoffs. Cincinnati's out of playoffs. The other team you got to look at that might probably miss or possibly miss the playoffs would be the Bills. The Bills only have 1 easy game the rest of the season. Look at their coming up opponents: the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Chargers, the Patriots, the Dolphins.
Yeah, and they're too inconsistent. And we talked about this last week, Mike. If you had made the podcast,
you showed up.
Hey, I'm sorry I was sick.
But anyways, yeah, we had talked about that, Mike.
No, we've been talking about them and their inconsistency all season. But you have 2 teams right there that may miss the playoffs. So that leaves you with Miami, Baltimore, Cleveland, Jacksonville, Houston, Kansas City makes 6. You have 2 other teams. Denver definitely could be one of those teams.
Yeah. No, they definitely could. It just we'll see. We're gonna find out now.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna see. But anyways, let's move on. Tony, you're kind of like in the middle, like maybe yes, no.
I don't think so. I don't think they make it. That's my opinion. I don't think the Broncos make it.
I say they may be an 8 seed.
Possibly.
Actually, it's 7, right? No.
If they make it, I got them going over the Colts.
It would be 7 seed, not 8. Only 7 make it.
The Colts is who I have at that 7th seed, and I would say it would be the Broncos instead of the Colts if it came down to that.
Came down to it, yeah, I agree. I don't think they make it. I think something's going to happen in the next few weeks where people gotta.
Colts could win.
I'm still going to hold on to my Raider hope.
Scott, the Colts could win every game from here on out, other than the last game of the season against the Texans.
Yeah, they do have a pretty easy schedule. But moving on,
and they could have won that game against the Texans at the end of the season because I don't think the Texans are going to play Stroud because they're going to be so far ahead. I don't think they do it.
They could be fighting for the division though, still against the Jaguars.
All right, I think they're going to beat the Jaguars this week. Let's go. I'm watching that game.
So, anyways, guys, I wanted to move on. I actually wanted to talk about a little something. I know we touched on Purdy a little bit, but I hear a lot of talk about Dak possibly being the MVP. Okay.
What?
Dude. Hold on. Look at his stats. He's having a good season. I know. Trust me. I know. Okay. And then people say Purdy, right? But then everyone's argument with Purdy is like, well, of course, he has all these weapons around him. How can he not do good? But then no one argues about Dallas's.
Dallas hasn't beat a winning. Dallas has not beat a team with a winning record.
Thank you. All right. Look at here are their wins: Giants, Jets, New England, Chargers, Rams, Giants, and the Panthers. Okay, of course.
And they're playing Washington on Thursday, and everyone thinks it's going to be like, come on, bro. Like, I don't get it.
But here's what we're going to find out if Dak really is the MVP, like all these people are saying. No. After Washington, here's their stretch. Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit.
they're gonna get decimated. Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami. I think Miami decimates them.
Where's
And
the
Detroit.
Buffalo game? It's in Buffalo, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's at Buffalo, at Miami.
Yep.
I actually see them probably going 2-3 on this stretch. I think they beat Seattle, and I think they could beat Philadelphia at home. I do.
I don't think so. You know what? Never mind. After watching this game that's going on right now, maybe, I don't know. Ooh! I looked at the score and I got pretty happy.
Philadelphia still winning?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I got them going 2-3, and I don't. I just I hate when people talk about this when they sit there and say, "Well, one guy has more weapons than another guy, but the other guy has a soft schedule, so he's just padding up stats." I mean, how many yards have they put on the Giants in 2 games? Like 9,000.
Yeah, I think that definitely needs to be taken into consideration because the Cowboys, I think it's the number one most important thing is who you play. Like, yes, Purdy's playing great. In my opinion, it's not even Purdy. I think Purdy is second. And it depends on how the rest of the season goes. I think CJ Stroud needs to be MVP. He's
going to be rookie. Okay, he's going to be rookie of the year. You give him rookie of the year and
yes.
MVP?
Yes.
He's deserving of it.
If he's deserving of it, yeah, why not? Just because you're giving him one award doesn't mean he can't get both.
Has anybody done that?
Doesn't fucking matter.
No. I'm just asking.
No, that's never been done before.
Yeah, because
at an elite level, and if he wins out the season, I think he deserves it.
You want to know a reason I also think people hate on Purdy?
Eagles won. Sorry,
he wasn't a first round.
They
he wasn't
didn't
a first round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that up earlier. If he was a first or second round pick, nobody would be saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When was the last time you heard a quarterback drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round be a bust?
All the time.
Because they don't have expectations.
Yep.
Yeah. But then you got guys like Zach Wilson. You know what I mean?
So I don't disagree. And those are the things like how do you measure the intangibles, right? Like on one hand, you have Stroud, who is rookie, number 2 pick, gonna be rookie of the year, taking his team to the playoffs on a team that no one expected to make the playoffs. Everyone, like, he elevated wide receivers that were not even wide receiver 3 or 4 last year, and now they're wide receiver 1s. Everybody wants a piece of Tank Adele. Everybody wants a piece of fucking Nico Collins. Devin Singletary is doing well. Like, what the hell? Then you got Brock Purdy on the other hand, like you said, fucking Mr. Irrelevant. How the hell do you like that? That's an intangible. How do you weigh that given how he's performed? Because it does elevate his status on that MVP caliber because he's playing like it. How do you elevate those two things? In my opinion, I think Stroud's is a little bit higher only because, yes, Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, but he has better situation, so he's expected to do well, and he already has half a season under his belt.
Yeah, but there's also no expectation on CJ. Think about the pressure that Brock Purdy has on him to be a 7th round pick, last guy taken in the draft. You're playing for a team that's expected to make a Super Bowl run. Like, then you look at CJ Stroud. Okay, you're the number 2 overall pick. This is your first year. It's a new coach. It's a new everything over here. There's no expectation. You do great. Awesome. All right. Fantastic. But if you don't do great, no one's going to sit there and be like, well, CJ Stroud sucks. No, they're going to be like, he's playing for the Houston Texans. Let's give it a minute. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I look at the opposite. I look at it the exact opposite. Eagles won, by the way. I look at it the exact opposite way of how you're viewing it. You're viewing it as he went to a team with no expectations and he's playing well. We'll do whatever. Cool. But I think, and then you look at Brock Purdy as like, oh, this guy has so much pressure on him and he's playing well and he's making it actually work with all that pressure. I look at it the opposite way. Brock Purdy has the opportunity to do well. And I don't think Stroud was given that opportunity. He had to take what he had. He had to make fucking magic happen, and he's doing it. Purdy is like, here's the answers to the test. Do well.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, no, I see. I can see your argument, Tony. I think it's very valid, but I'm still going with mine, and mine's better. So we're just going to go with that.
Bias. It's still going to be a Vikings-Texans Super Bowl, so it don't matter.
So, last little segment, real quick. I think we're deep enough into the season that we can go ahead and start talking about some coaches on the hot seat. Obviously, we have some ones I think for sure are going to get fired. I'm going to start off. Ron Rivera, Washington, 25, 1, 4th year. They haven't shown any improvement since the day he walked in the building. Dude's got to go. Yes or no?
Yes, has to. I don't even know why people still hire Ron Rivera.
Mike?
He's gone.
But do you agree with it?
What, with him being gone?
Yeah. That's kind of what we're talking about. Like, do you agree with it? Not so much. I agree he should go. I
agree he should go, but Mike, I'll go ahead and then I'm going to say something.
Outside the division, they have a winning record. He's in a tough division. They're not going to beat either one of those teams with Dallas or Philadelphia.
Dude, they just lost to the Giants.
I understand they lost. No, I understand that.
Lost to Danny DeVito.
Yeah, for 3 touchdowns.
Well, okay, you also shipped your top defensive players away too.
They weren't.
They're already tanking and giving up mid-season.
But were they waiting prior to that?
They weren't they weren't at a lost season yet at that point.
I think the way Washington's already looking at this is like, okay, we're like that middle team that's not. We're not the worst, but we're also not anywhere near the top. And I think Washington is at that point where they had to make a decision, like either we're going left or we're going right, because the straight line is not taking us anywhere. We got to venture off somewhere else. And I think starting off with new draft picks, because they're getting rid of Ron Rivera and they want whoever is going to be the new coach to have an abundance of picks so he can build the team he wants to build. That's the way I view it, and that's typically the way it usually happens. I could be wrong. Maybe they're giving Ron Rivera some picks, but
what they get in their picks?
They got a second for Montez Sweat, and they got a third for.
They got an end of the third compensatory
for
Young.
For Young,
right?
Yeah,
but still, they still get a second and a third. You got to start somewhere. I think you just build on one side of the ball. And you got to remember, both those guys were going to be free agents. They may have been trying to re-sign those guys.
And they couldn't.
I've been willing to sign back with Washington. They might.
And they said just at least get what we can.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? And obviously they're going to get a good draft pick. The Bears is going to be an early second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Obviously the 49ers is going to be later on in the third. But, dude, you can find some great players in the third. Don't ever knock a third. You could get a kicker. Mike got it.
Yeah.
Any 49er fan will get that one. But anyways, so yeah, I think Ron Rivera's done. I think they're loading up picks for the next.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's the thing: whoever goes into that situation, they got to give them more than 2 years. Otherwise, you're just in that vicious cycle that let's bring in a new coach. Here's your picks. Oh, 2 years later, you've won 4 games in 2 years. Bye. Yeah. And then now you got another coach coming in, brand new regime, into a complete shit show.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. All about that, dude. They don't even give no one chances, and you just gotta let someone build it up. But okay, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers, Brandon Staley.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat, especially when you watch the last interview. We talk about his defense, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm not gonna talk about it." He's just like, "Yeah, he's done. He's scared."
Mike.
The odd thing about them is they are 4-6, and they have a positive score differential. They've scored the most in the AFC behind the Dolphins, which is surprising that they're in last place in 4 and sitting at 4-7 or 4. I'm sorry, 4-6.
Doesn't win.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to win. And now they just lost Bosa. They're saying Bosa's most likely going on the injured list.
Did you guys see that Keenan Allen drop touchdown?
No.
Holy shit, dude! I think they were like on the 7-8 yard line, wide open. I mean, it's right in the, it just literally just hit him in the chest and dropped down. He was like looking right at the ball, and then the Johnson drop.
The Jonathan drop was pretty good.
Yeah,
They're both. Honestly, I don't knock Justin Herbert. It's the play calling. It's the coaching. It's the lack of intensity from some of the players. Like, I don't know. I think Justin Herbert is doing everything he has to do. It's everyone around him.
But yeah, I think he's gone, and I've already heard 2 possible replacements. One, Belichick, which, if that's who you were going to next, yes, Belichick's gone in New England. We've said that all year. The other coach that I've heard is Harbaugh, coming from Michigan.
He said he's interested in the Raiders too, but we're all pushing back on that. I think Pierce needs to let's do it.
Yeah. How about Matt Eberflus, Chicago, man? 6 wins in 27 games. I think he's got to go somehow.
Bye.
Yeah.
Honestly, have you seen that guy? He looks like a skeleton.
Yeah. They're not.
He needs to go.
Yeah.
Put him back in the grave.
Yeah. Okay. But now I have a couple coaches I want your guys' opinion on. The first one I know people might knock on, but I think it's a possibility, is Matt LaFleur. Now, I know he came out the gate hot his first couple years, but this is going to be the second year in a row that
came out the gate hot because he still had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not saying this season, but I'm saying they're loading up the logs underneath that chair and they're getting ready to light a fire. This is going to be the second year in a row that Green Bay has not made the playoffs in a franchise with a history, just an abundance of history of always being in the playoffs, always being a top tier team. And this is the first time that Packer fans since Favre took over have had to deal with a not so good quarterback. And I don't think it's going to go over well. The defense has played pretty good, but they can't run the ball. They can't do anything on offense.
Well, especially with Aaron Jones going down now, it's worse for LaFleur. I think he stays for the season, then he's gone. I don't think the fans won't allow it.
I think personally, I think he stays, but I think he enters next season under a very short leash.
He's on the hot seat to begin next season already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
how short of a leash do they have to give Jordan Love next year?
What do you have? If you don't have anything behind him, like, what are you really gonna do?
Yeah, I feel like you got to start looking for another quarterback because Jordan Love is not the answer.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, they need to look at something.
Now, this next coach breaks my heart to mention because I'm a huge fan of him, but I don't like the way he handled the quarterback situation, and that's Robert Saleh. He's 15-9 at this point. I know he took over a horrendous Jets defense, or not defense, but team, and he's added some pieces. And I understand it's not fair that Aaron Rodgers went down, but part of being a good coach is understanding when it's time to make a change in certain areas. And the way he held onto this Wilson, like, you have a roster right now, at least on the defensive side of the ball, that's going to keep you in games. You just need a competent quarterback. The fact that you were willing to just let Wilson bring this team down week in and week out, and you wait till week 11 to finally say, okay, I've had enough. Like, the first 10 weeks should have been.
I feel like it's the same situation as LaFleur. You're going into next season in the hot seat. I don't think he gets fired at the end of this season. He goes into next season in the hot seat. And I think it's because of Aaron Rodgers. I think the fact that Aaron Rodgers will be coming back next season, we're going to see the exact same hype that we saw this offseason, where Aaron Rodgers, he's out there, he's connecting with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall's going to be a baller, Dalvin Cook signing there. This offense is going to be explosive. Their defense is better. Well, their defense got better, but their offense shit the bed, and that was because of Aaron Rodgers. So if Aaron Rodgers has a say, I don't think he lets Saleh go. I just don't. So I think, but it's a make it or break it season next season.
Yeah, and to further echo that, he signed a 5-year contract. Next year would be year 4 of that 5-year contract.
Yeah, but ask the Raiders about how many coaches they enjoy paying.
Yeah, they're paying what, $85 million to McDaniels and Gruden to not coach. $85 million.
A lot of people said they might bring Gruden back. I read that somewhere.
Well, now the NFL kicked him out, or he resigned.
He resigned due to all the publicity. I never heard he was like officially kicked out. I mean, he's not officially out of the league. I mean, he helps Derek Carr in. I mean, that might be saying something, right? But he still helps coach Derek Carr in New Orleans. I read that. So he's not out of the league. It's not like he's not doing anything. He has just had this image portrayed of him that's like this racist, misogynistic bullshit that they say happened, right? And we'll see. I wouldn't be mad at it. But I would be upset that Antonio Pierce wasn't given a chance. I really think Antonio Pierce is that's the coach we need. That embodies the Raiders, and that's what we need to be curious for.
You got quite a while, so he's going to end up coaching half the season. Before it's all said and done, I understand you guys won the first 2 games. I really felt you guys should have beat Miami, but let's let the rest of the season go on.
Yeah, but we have the second hardest schedule going forward
remaining,
and I don't even think that's fair to say, oh, let's let the season play out. Look at the last game. Well, he was handed offense.
But with that said, Tony, let's see how you guys compete in those games. Because I felt like some of these games I watched you guys, dude, by the middle of third quarter, I felt like you guys had just like disconnected.
Gave up already.
Yeah, you guys were just going through the motions on some of those games. I don't think it now. If you
are you talking about the last 3 games or the rest of the season?
No, under McDaniels.
Oh, it's under McDaniels. It was completely you can't compare under McDaniels to Antonio Pierce. The past 3 games, 100% different than the beginning of the season to when McDaniels was fired. It's a different team. It's a different people.
Yeah,
100% different.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think Antonio Pierce, it's bad for him because he inherited this offense. Like Devontae Adams is the only one that's good.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I think we've chit-chatted long enough. We definitely went. We were talking about before we did. We're like, oh yeah, this will be a 30-minute podcast, and then
47 minutes.
Yeah,
47 minutes later.
But
we'll see if I can find a bigger drink for next time.
Yeah. I don't know how you drink, dude, and that's soda, right?
And this shout out to Matt. I hope you get better.
Yes, Matt. We
feel better.
Hope you feel better, and hopefully you'll be able to join us on. Well, I don't know. Actually, we can't do a Thursday podcast.
No.
With that,